To paraphrase a spooky line from Konami's classic Silent Hill 2, there was a game here. It's gone now. That game was PT.
Also known as Silent Hills.
Exactly. So, it wasn't long ago that PT, or Silent Hills, the prototype for the Del Toro / Kojima game, or iteration of the popular franchise, made its online debut to much acclaim. And it made such a splash on YouTube that even the people who were always playing like the clickbait PewDiePie jump scare games actually played something that honestly looked scary. Those were the Let's Plays I enjoyed the shit out of, to be honest, because it honestly looked like a really creepy premise for a game.
Mm-hmm. And it also,
oh yeah,
and it also looked like the people who were playing the game were genuinely scared, as opposed to, oh my god, help me, bros. It's a robot bunny that's attacking me.
You guys, there's gonna be.
Oh my god!
Get that subscribe button ready. There's gonna be a jump scare in 3, 2, 1. Click subscribe, bros.
Yeah, that was the thing that I really enjoyed about PT, is that you're right. It was actually scary. It wasn't just ooh spoopy. There's going to be a pop up right here. I mean, there
was
were
a
moments.
slow burn. I loved it.
Yes. Yeah, there were moments where there was like a sudden pop-up, or, you'd go to open a door and then suddenly, a person would appear and they'd shut the door and slam it. Yeah, exactly. Like slam the door on you. And, so there were those moments, but a lot of it was, you're right, it was a slow burn. There would just be
the surreal atmosphere,
strange sound effects, or, you would be looking at this, like an image on the, on the wall in a picture frame, and you're like, what the fuck is that? Like, what's going on? Like that is what is real horror, in my opinion,
Well, it raised a lot more questions than it ever answered. That's what I loved about it.
Yes.
All the little prods to a murderer of a family, and whether or not you're the murderer, and what you're doing, always going through that same hallway over and over again. And then when you get killed by the jump scare, the one effective jump scare I've seen on the YouTube in years, you start up in a room again, there's a bunch of little tick marks, check boxes, whatever's on the walls. It was just so profoundly eerie. I mean, you didn't know exactly what was going on, though, but it just drove you insane. And even watching the Let's Players play this game, it was just so fucking entertaining, because they'd get to the end of the hallway, open it up, and the same hallway would show up. And they'd be like, wait, what? And then over and over. And you can see them getting frustrated, but also constantly unnerved. And it left such a fucking huge impact on the net and with gamers. People had probably the most hype for any Silent Hill game in years, because of that trailer.
Oh god, yeah. Yeah, I can definitely say, I mean, I had lost hope for the Silent Hill series, and then this happened, and it was a work of art. It really truly was. And to me, as an artist myself, that is what is so devastating about what ended up happening to that game. It's that now it's just gone. It's disappeared. Completely. And so the only way to experience this now is if you, we're
lucky enough to experience it.
Well, yes, that. But if you watch a Let's Play, or if a friend of yours still has it,
or if you have access to certain black markets.
Yes, that was what I was about to say. If you obtain it, but still, I just seriously, I cannot even fathom why Konami would decide to just completely pull this. And I know that recently there was a rumor that Microsoft was actually going to purchase this title, and so there were a couple people who were speculating, well, perhaps that's the reason why it was pulled, because if Microsoft is going to actually purchase this title and they want to have it as an exclusive to the Xbox, perhaps then they want Konami to take it off the PlayStation Network, which would make sense if it's going to be Xbox. They don't want it on PlayStation.
But we need to go back a little bit further before that, though.
Oh, sure.
First of all, Kojima left Konami, and he was one of the two minds behind the PT trailer and the revision of Silent Hill, much like he did with the original Lord of Shadows, which I thought was a great game, even though it aped on a lot of stuff. Konami hired Kojima to reinvent Silent Hill with visionary director Del Toro.
Yes.
And Konami, I don't know if there's a falling out between Konami or Kojima, but eventually Kojima left Konami. And oddly enough, right after that, Konami starts saying that they're going to start doing mobile games because it's profitable.
Yay.
So I wonder if there wasn't like some massive conflict of interest there. But even then, Konami says they're going to continue with like football in the Metal Gear series. So I don't know. There's probably a massive difference in opinions on where the money's going to in Konami that eventually Kojima left.
Yeah.
Because of that's just my speculation. There's no definitive answer on that yet. But again, the fact that Konami's taken a different direction, Kojima left. Konami all of a sudden takes this internet phenomenon and it just fucking disappears completely.
I know. Yeah, like I still, like, I'm just dumbfounded trying to think about why they would do that. I mean, especially because it was, from what I've seen, it was a very popular title. It was very well received by the fans. So, I mean, it's not like it bombed. So, I mean, like, why, they could continue to charge for it. People could continue to buy it. Like, that would be something that they could keep getting money from. Like, I don't understand why they would.
It had the following on the net. If they would just looked
exactly.
at the net, they would have seen, oh wow, there's millions of people excited about this. This is a surefire thing. Just like we keep on going back to the Deadpool release, and which led up to the eventual Deadpool movie. The corporations, the publishers, the producers, whatever, all took that as a mark of quality. That was like their assurance that the product would be successful is by gauging the response on Twitter and YouTube and whatnot. And there's a huge response on this game, so I don't know why, besides the fact that Kojima left, why they completely shelved everything.
I honestly don't know the answer, but what I find the most egregious in this situation is that, of course, it's a shame that Silent Hills is, it's apparently not meant to be, and PT has also disappeared. But what also bothers me is the fact that because Konami has decided to go mobile, for whatever reason, what it effectively means is that Silent Hill is officially over. I mean, not that the previous couple of titles were phenomenal or even good, but if there's someone else who, say, wanted to pick up the torch after, say, Kojima leaves and whatnot, or if someone else has an innovative vision for the series, it's never gonna come to fruition because Konami are the copyright owners of the franchise. And if they're saying, like...
And they're going to sit on it.
Yeah, for no apparent reason.
They're going to sit on their IPs.
Yeah, then... Well, that's it. Silent Hill is officially over, kids. It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, see, well, that's the thing, though, is that I read somewhere in some kind of statement after Kojima left, Konami said that they are going to continue on with the Silent Hill series, but that it isn't going to, that the prototype game, PT, is not going to be what they move forward with it. They might... hire somebody else to do something new. But that's the thing, though. The next person that's going to come to pick up the torch, I don't think they're going to be able to make anything better than PT. Like, let's be fair here. PT was amazing.
It set the bar.
And exactly. So, and Max is right. Pretty much every Silent Hill game after number 4, and this is something that Mel and I discussed in the after hours that we had, was pure shit. Mm-hmm. So, it
was Americanized.
Well,
actually, no. So I won't even say Americanized. I'll say it's corporatized.
Yeah.
Your protagonist needs a gun. He needs to be a beefcake. He needs to be able to defend himself.
Yes, we need an arbitrary.
We
need an arbitrary cameo from the sexy nurses and Pyramid Head, because otherwise it's not a Silent Hill game.
Yes, because people recognize that shit.
God.
Brand recognizability.
Yeah. See that, and that's the thing. Like, what it seems like is that if the next person who's going to take over Silent Hill, they're going to make what they think a Silent Hill game is, which is, oh, well, let's throw Pyramid Head in there. That's Silent Hill, right? Yeah, sounds good. Okay. And it's like, no, fuck that. Because,
bros.
Yeah, like PT was going in a really, really interesting direction, and now not only can people no longer experience it, but you're right, it did set the bar. So anything that Konami tries to do with Silent Hill now, it's probably going to bomb, which then is going to make Konami be like, well, see, we shouldn't have even taken a chance with the Silent Hill series anyway. It's a good thing we canned PT when we did, because it's just not doing well. And it's like, maybe if you had gone forward with PT, it would have done well. Like, they're just so stupid.
Yep, negotiate with Kojima long enough to get PT out the door.
I know, but I think that you're right. I think that it has something to do with the money issue, especially because Kojima is the kind of person who, when he has an idea, he sticks to it, and he is going to try and change his idea. He's like, if I want to use what is it, the Fox engine? Is that the one?
Yes,
I think
so.
it is.
Fox
yeah, but he's like, well, if I want to use the Fox engine, I'm going to use it. And then, Konami's like, well, that costs $1 million trillion. He's like, I don't care. That's what I want to use. So, I can see that being part of the issue. Like, he had some kind of big idea for PT that was going to cost a lot of money. And Konami was like, oh, we'd rather just go into mobile games because, that'll make us money too.
We want freemium.
Yeah.
But, money does come back into play too, because I think publishers are charged X amount of dollars per gigabyte of demo content that they put forward on the PlayStation Network.
Really?
Sony charges for each download the person does for a demo. They charge the publisher. So if Konami's not going to create, or they're not going to follow through with this project, and it's still getting buzzed, people are still downloading it, they could be losing money.
I didn't know that.
So that explains why that was taken off the network, because obviously network access and hard drive space on the Sony servers isn't free.
That's true.
So if it wasn't going to be a project that comes to fruition, they'd probably say, well, screw it, we're not going to spend any more money on it.
That does make sense, but I'm curious why they didn't just move it to a different server, one that doesn't charge as much or at all, for example.
Yeah, that's a good point, because that kind of leads us into the other part of this discussion, where it's like, sure, that makes sense from a company standpoint why they would want to take it down, but why completely destroy this work of art?
Yep. Why wipe it out?
I know. Why not find another way to keep it alive, or find another way to allow the fans to have access to it?
The keyword is preserve it.
Exactly.
And see, this is the problem. I'm reading this PC Mag article about this exact topic, and I sent it to you guys too, and it's called "The Demise of Silent Hills Proves That Gaming Has a Preservation Crisis" by Timothy Torres. And the little subtitle says, by wiping PT, an elaborate ad for Silent Hills, from the web, Konami has digitally murdered a work of art. And I agree.
Those bastards!
Comic relief! But see, cough. Almost choked on an almond. Konami digitally murdered me now. But see, there's a larger issue here, and that is, now that games are starting to go to the net, a lot of digital distribution, Steam, the virtual store on the Wii, because of the digital platforms, it's easier than ever for a company to wipe out content.
Yeah, that's
things that you have paid for, or things that are just, great, like PT.
Yes, that is, of course, the unfortunate other side of the coin when it comes to digital distribution. Because if PT was released on, normal discs, people would still have copies of that game. But as far as I've read somewhere, that if you do have PT on your HDD on your PS4, you're still able to play that game. But however, if you were to, say, erase that game to make more room for another game, and then you want to revisit PT, there's no way, kids. It's gone.
Yep, and that's just it. Is one of the biggest names in video games for like the past 3 decades is turning their back on fans. We're talking, Castlevania. We're talking not Ninja Gaiden. Silent Hill. We're talking Metal Gear Solid. To apparently focus on gambling and health spas. Oh wait, no, sorry. That's Konami.
That is Konami.
It's not Kojima who was gonna focus on gambling and health spas. It was Konami.
No, Kojima's actually doing something with his life, man.
But still, I mean, the fact that Konami is moving away from video games is horrifying, and if they're not going to support their back catalog, if they're not going to do as much as we, slightly detest remakes and HD remakes, if they're not going to keep their IPs alive...
Yes, if they're not going to preserve their legacy.
Yes. Well, to me, it's kind of like what happened with early Hollywood, and if any of you guys have ever watched Hugo, there's a story of George Millet. I'm probably butchering the name, but forgive me. He was a very influential, very artistic filmmaker back in the very, very dawn of filmmaking. And most of his films were destroyed and lost completely forever. Some of them were found in shoeboxes, some of them were found in not exactly the best condition though, but for the most part during, I think it was World War One, most of his films were actually melted down to make like boot soles.
Oh wow.
So don't quote me on this exactly, but basically we're kind of seeing the same thing where art is almost a disposable commodity on the net.
Mm-hmm.
Art is literally being trod on by the masses.
Yeah.
Made into boot soles. Like, oh my god.
Well,
what an insult.
There is, but I mean, if you look at PT, right? Konami's not letting people play PT anymore, unless you already have it, unless you already downloaded it. But they're not letting new people play PT anymore. They're not preserving this work of art because it costs them too much money, which as financially makes sense, but it at the same time doesn't. I mean, you create this thing, you create so much buzz, and people want it, and they just let it go.
It is, yes, it is unfortunate.
I mean, there was some hope with Microsoft there for a while, right, Katie?
Yeah. So basically, Microsoft for a while there was a rumor that Microsoft was potentially going to be actually purchasing the Silent Hills title from, well, not PT itself, but like just Silent Hill as a whole.
They're gonna buy the franchise.
Yeah, from Konami. And so, fans were speculating. They were like, oh, well, that makes sense then why it was pulled. Because, if Microsoft's going to buy it and they want to make it for, make it a exclusive to the Xbox One, then maybe they asked Konami, like, hey, can you take this off the PlayStation Network because we want to put it only on the Xbox. That would totally make sense. Like, I would understand that.
And it'd be a damn good move with Microsoft, too.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But see,
you think if if Konami was not going to create Silent Hills, or they're just going to let either their IP rot or going to sell it off, Sony and Microsoft, gauging by the fan reaction, they'd be fighting tooth and nail for PT.
I know, but especially, I mean, and it makes sense too, because if Konami is going to be going into
spas.
Things like spas and gambling, then why not sell some of these IPs that they're not going to be able to? And I think I read an article somewhere that they are indeed maybe potentially thinking about selling some of their IPs that wouldn't translate well into mobile games or gambling games, because that would make sense.
Well, that's what they should do, because that's what THQ did a couple of years ago when
Exactly.
they were going under. They basically sold the Saints Row franchise to who was it? I forget. But basically, yeah, the point is they were going under, so they were holding auctions, and it's like, all right, Saints Row 4, do I hear
or Darksiders?
Yeah, or Darksiders, etc. Do I hear $1 million? Do I hear $2 million?
Yeah.
Unless they're still getting kickbacks on the royalties for Silent Hill and whatnot.
I mean, they might be, but like, would the money that they're getting from royalties be more than what they could have potentially made from Microsoft? Because I mean, that rumor turned out to be false. Like, Microsoft actually isn't buying the title. I mean, and part of me almost hopes that maybe, like, since this rumor had gone around, Microsoft might turn around and say, that might be a good idea.
Yeah, no shit.
Or someone else.
Yeah, but still, like I'm kind of crossing my fingers that maybe somebody actually approaches Konami for that idea now that this rumor was going around. But who knows what they're going to do with it. But you're right. I think that, like Matt said earlier, Konami's probably just going to sit on it, and it's just going to be left to rot. And it's like, you could make money on this. Like, if that's your goal as a company, is to make money, why not do something with it instead of just sit on that title?
Konami shifts their focus away from games and just become like patent trolls.
Oh God.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah. If you want to make a podcast, you gotta, cut us a check. Those fucking parasites. But to play devil's advocate here for a second, as you said, it was a very promising rumor because that would ensure that the Silent Hill legacy, or more importantly, the legacy of PT/Silent Hills, lives on and will still be able to, see the end product come out in a couple of years. But perhaps Konami is not the only party to blame here. What if there simply aren't any takers? What if, for whatever reason, Microsoft or any other publishing company is either too scared or too obtuse to approach Konami and say, hey, could we perhaps purchase the Castlevania and or Silent Hill franchise from you guys? Because obviously you're not doing anything with it, but we have a couple of interesting ideas.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying Nintendo needs to do for ages. Buy Castlevania.
Well,
Yeah.
But then again, who needs Castlevania when you have Splatoon?
Well, that is an interesting point, but the other part of that is that maybe there are companies that are interested, but they just don't have the funds to, if, for example, if they did want to continue PT exactly as it was, they would have to hire Del Toro, they'd have to hire Kojima. Exactly, and
Norman
maybe
Reedus
Norman
and
Reedus even
also,
too.
Who's the comic book creator of that Spiral weird ass manga?
Junji Ito, I think. That's close enough. Yeah,
Katie, you're an artist. You should know this.
but I forgot. No, but yeah, his art gives me a headache to look at, so I don't read much of his work. But I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, because wasn't he in talks too?
There was rumors. I don't know if it was ever actually confirmed.
Because I know there's pictures like him and Kojima next to each other
Yeah,
before
but see,
the thing blew up.
Yeah, see, that's the thing though. But also on the other hand, it has been confirmed that Norman Reedus and Kojima's contracts with Konami are up, so it's not like they're stuck with Konami. I don't know about Del Toro. I think he's just his own guy, but so if somebody did want to actually hire these people, it's not like they're stuck with Konami. That is
Right, there's no contractual, no compete contract.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're not stuck with one company or the other,
Right.
So that could actually be something that people do. But again, especially with if people, Kojima kind of has this reputation of, it's my way or the highway, and so if they did want to continue PT, maybe it would be too expensive for a lot of companies to handle, which, again, from a business standpoint, it's understandable, but from an artistic standpoint, it's quite depressing that people aren't willing to put money into something that could be amazing and beautiful and be a game that actually lasts and is something that people remember. I mean, the last couple Silent Hill titles are they're forgettable.
Cookie cutter.
They're not something that 10 years from now you're going to pull off the shelf and be like, I want to play this again. Whereas even a title like Silent Hill 1, that's still a game that people go back to, even though, at this point, the graphics and stuff are really outdated, people still want to experience that story. And I feel like PT could have really been one of those games, and now we're never going to know.
It could have been that artsy experimental game that takes gaming to the whole new level that all of the, less able people have tried doing for ages. Let's just say that.
Well, yeah, and there were even rumors that it could have possibly gone into virtual reality, too.
Oh yeah, I think I remember there was a rumor for Oculus.
Yeah, so you're right, it could have been something that just went beyond what people expected and was really something that made people, it set the bar, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
And this is the thing too, is even Del Toro is saying that he's willing to come back to the project.
yeah, he seems dedicated to it.
But it just kind of fell on its face because of, business deals and
I
whatnot.
know.
So,
Same thing with the Mountains of Madness, of course, unfortunately.
yeah, we covered that plenty
Yeah,
of
poor
times.
Del Toro.
God.
Yeah.
His dreams being
Oh,
turned
no.
into ash
See,
right in front of his eyes.
That's the worst
Just
part.
go to
too, is
Kickstarter with it!
it's always artistic vision that gets stumped.
Exactly, of course.
Over top of business needs. But again, going back to the whole entire digital distribution thing, it does set a precedence, and it does make me extremely worried. The fact that a company can pull something, and it essentially disappears
Yeah.
completely
Yeah.
from the world.
Now, didn't you read somewhere, though, that there's people trying to make a rule or something that...
There's currently movements for digital liberty and consumer rights.
Yeah.
When it comes to this kind of thing, the EFF, Electronic Frontier Foundation, one of the biggest internet civil rights groups ever, have been trying to fight the DMCA, the big Digital Millennial Copyright Act, where the DMCA basically kind of gives a lot of these publishers the rights to their products, which is fine and dandy. But if a company isn't going to support a game anymore, meaning that they turn off their servers or something, the EFF is trying to fight for consumer rights so that you can hack and mod those games so they still work.
Yes.
So let's say that there's a game that's entirely online based, like let's say World of Warcraft. In there 10 years, Blizzard's like, nope, we're done. We're throwing our hands up. We're done. We're going to take down all our servers. You should be able to hack and mod that game to keep playing it. Or consequently, if there's DRM, because that's always a fucking great idea. If there's DRM that always has to check the server to make sure that you're not stealing the game.
Oh Lord.
And all of a sudden that server that it checks against is gone and you can't verify your game, and the company is no longer gonna, let that server run and do all the support behind it, then you should be able to hack and mod that game legally to play it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in the case of PT, there should be ways to procure PT legally still.
Yeah.
There should, but there aren't, unfortunately.
Not yet, no. But I mean, this is one of those things that's kind of in litigation right now, or legislative hell.
Yes.
If you guys want to read the full article, go to the EFF.org and look up video games, modding, and the law.
Or we can leave a link in the description box.
Or we can do that. Makes it easier.
Yeah.
Just look down below and grab that shit there.
Yes.
But there's a lot of great stuff on the EFF, so be sure to check it out. I fully endorse them.
Yes. Well, if I'm not mistaken, they even call products like that abandonware, and that kind of tells you.
Yes.
That kind of hits the nail on the head. That's the problem.
Yep. And that's the too is if you want to play like an old DOS game that the company that made the game isn't even in existence anymore, you should have a legal right to download it and play it. Mm-hmm. Unless it's on GOG or whoever they decided to sell the license to. But it is technically abandonware, yes.
But this in my mind, this is almost kind of like it's the same thing as like books that are in the public domain, because it's like this, certain titles are so old or so well known, I guess, that it's like anybody can
this
just
is a
go out.
LibriVox recording.
Exactly, like anybody can go out and read them or whatever. And a lot of games are at this point really old, even though the video game industry is still young in comparison to pretty much any other industry. I feel like there should be some sort of public domain law or rule for a lot of, especially really older games, that otherwise you're not going to be able to find or play these titles, because you're right. It is an argument about preservation, because, I don't think that people really, a lot of people are still struggling with this idea that video games are art, which they are art. It's something that somebody made with, with their hands, with their brain. It's something that didn't exist and somebody brought it into existence. That is art.
Yes.
Okay,
and
someone
of course
created
the definition
that.
of art changes all the time.
Well,
too.
yes, but I mean, I'm exactly, but still, what I'm trying to say is that I feel like, especially because, video games are just expanding so rapidly and going in so many new directions, I think it's really important for us to remember the roots of video games, or with PT, something like that. I think that it's important to remember projects that are really interesting and really good, and maybe they didn't, get continued, or they, only had one, like the first part of it and didn't get a sequel or something. Who knows? Yeah. But it's still important to preserve those things. It really is.
But yeah, Katie is absolutely right. Video games are art. Obviously, not all of them are going to be high art, like in the case of something like Angry Birds or that detestable Kim Kardashian dress-up game. But still, for the most part,
it's called corporate art.
Yeah, well, it's called corporate drivel, or shovelware, but still. The point I'm trying to make here is that video games are art, and what is art? It's an artist's creative vision made manifest. Mm-hmm. And if companies or publishers who are meant to support said vision and publish it, if they're not gonna be ours to try and preserve said vision, then it's basically lost forever. It's like that Blade Runner speech, tears and rain, it's gone forever.
Well, and that's just the sad thing too, is because once somebody creates something, it belongs to society, right? I mean, that's kind of like what art is. I mean, the Mona Lisa, The minute it was created, it became a part of society, became part of the culture, and even Silent Hill's PT is part of our culture now.
Yes.
Maybe not a huge significant part, though, but still, it's a part. It's a part that has gotten people talking, and as Penn Jillette would say, the definition of art is something that starts a conversation. And boy, did that start a conversation.
Yeah.
Why the hell aren't games this scary anymore?
Yeah, that's for damn sure.
And that's the best thing, too, about Silent Hill's PT, and even though PT may or may not be lost, it's done its fair share of inspiring other creators.
Yeah.
Yes.
In a way, it kind of has a spiritual successor in this. Now, what was the game that you guys found that was kind of inspired by PT?
Allison Road, I believe is what it's called.
Yeah. I actually I forgot to look deeply into this game, but for what I've seen with the just reading articles about it and stuff, it looks really interesting. Like this I have a lot of hope for. It seems really awesome.
Right. It takes the theme of PT, where you're kind of like trapped in like a location, your house, a very, very benign, very, very common location that you normally wouldn't put a horror theme into.
Yes.
Like, I guess this goes back to the Eastern Western theories of horror, where Western is like, don't go to the old dark house, that's where something bad can happen. Where Eastern is like, something bad can happen anywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is exactly what it's playing on, too.
Subway.
So what it is it's a game that's very much like PT. You live in a house, you interact with this house, and apparently your upstairs neighbors of, I guess, a duplex, sorry, there was a murder, and you're supposed to investigate what happened to this girl, and much like PT, weird shit happens. It spawned its own successors in the indie community, thank God, because, obviously, in the gaming environment right now where companies don't want to invest in new ideas, they want to churn out something that they know is profitable, they want sequels, they want the status quo.
Yes.
I can't imagine that something like a PT successor, Allison Road, coming from another developer other than the indie market, which again, I still think the indie is the savior of gaming.
Yeah, at this point it is, which is it's really sad to say. Well, it's sad, but it's also hopeful. I'm glad that in today's world, people have the ability to go out and for instance, download Unity and just, make their idea come to life. I think that's fantastic. But it's also really sad that the corporate side of video games and all of the big businesses, the big companies, that you're right, they are stuck in this. They're scared to take risks with new ideas, and that's really upsetting because they're the ones, you're right, with the big budgets, and they're the ones who could actually make something work really well, a new idea really take off, such as PT did. But
I'm not saying PT wasn't bloated. You gotta think Norman Reedus plus Del Toro plus
it was bloated, but it was
the idea.
A new idea. It was a new, yes, it was a sequel to Silent Hill and stuff, but it was completely new. You didn't see Pyramid Head and nurses walking around like you did with the last
right,
fucking
it wasn't like zombies walking around going ooga booga booga.
Exactly, it was something
genuinely
new.
Eerie shit.
Exactly.
That, and it was also bloated with talent, not budget.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep, it wasn't just some kind of empty sequel where it's just the same thing that we've seen over and over and over, just with like a 3 or a 4 slapped onto the title. It was something completely new.
Exactly.
And that makes me sad because, people worked so hard, all the people that, first started making video games, and they tried really hard to make this a profitable thing and to actually make their ideas be something that could make money, and now it's all about making the money. And it's like, where did those artists go? Where did the people that founded these companies, what happened to them? Are they dead already? I don't think they are.
No, all of them are in Kickstarter.
Oh, okay.
That's actually true. That's true. The creator of Castlevania
Yooka-Laylee
is on Kickstarter making his Castlevania-ish game. Same thing with the creator of Mega Man.
My number 9. And then, of course, I'm sure you guys have heard about the game Yooka-Laylee, I think it's called, where the creators of Banjo-Kazooie got together and they're like, we want to make another game that really feels like Banjo-Kazooie, only it's new characters, new everything. It got so many, it's like $1 million trillion. It earned so much because people want that.
Yep.
It's a new idea and it's awesome and cool. And, now they've got the money to do it. And it's like, I don't know, in a way, I'm sort of glad that Konami is is leaving the industry. I don't like the way that they're leaving because, again, they're leaving, well, hopefully they don't, but at the moment it looks like they're leaving a lot of IPs to rot. But, you know, it's kind of good that they're leaving because maybe then that will
Fresh
open
blood.
up, exactly, that will open up more opportunities for indie people or new ideas, or maybe some of the other big companies will look at what's happening with Konami and say, maybe we don't want to go down that path, maybe we should change what we're doing,
Right.
maybe we should take that risk.
Here's my thoughts is I always hark on companies essentially bow to consumer demands. Deadpool movie, Valve. I also get on my high horse about how the net is free and doesn't have these gatekeepers. And
Yes.
to put these two practices into effect, you have to realize that this game Allison Road was greenlit on Steam in under 48 hours.
Damn, that's fucking awesome.
Yep. And then also the Castlevania-esque game, Bloodstained Ritual of Night.
Oh, a game about menstruational blood.
Oh, I want to play that. That sounds fantastic. That sounds like something Zoe Quinn would make.
Menstruation quest.
Oh no.
Zing! Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, the Castlevania-esque game by the original creator of like Symphony of the Night. Not only did it have like a $500,000 goal that it met it by an extra $3 million. This is shit people want. And
Yes.
you don't see it any more clearer than on the net. And I just wish companies would just get back to fucking making this kind of stuff. Because, I mean, obviously the demand's there. The budgets can't possibly be as astronomically high as, like, you know, Battlefield and that kind of stuff. I mean, again, this is an indie-sized game that was funded for, or estimated for about $500,000. It made $3.5 million by backers. So, again, the companies need to listen to what people want, and on the net, there's no gatekeepers, no companies saying, no, you can't have that. So
Yeah, exactly.
that's what I see as being the saving grace of all this, as well as the EFF, you know, hopefully passing some digital rights saying you can have your PT and eat it too.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Ukulele at the moment, it still has a little more than a week to go, and it's like, it has
10 times more than it asked for.
yeah, exactly, like, what is this? Like, I can't read numbers very well, like 2 million? Is that is that what that is?
It asked for $270,000 and $41 because apparently someone need to go out and get McDonald's. They didn't want to get Taco Bell because then, you know, they'd just be shitting money. But they ended up.
Yes,
They,
that would be the Bloodstained game. That's a really good.
There we go.
Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I shouldn't have had that chalupa. Fucking enchiladas. Anyways, but it ended up making $2,783,000.
Yeah, well, for now, I mean, there's still 8 days to go, so they're probably going to get more.
They fucking made it, yeah. And you know what? What's even better is on Kickstarter and whatnot, there's stretch goals.
Yeah.
And if they make a certain amount, then they add more to the game. Like Bloodstained, they had stuff like cheat codes, co-op, new bosses, speedrun, boss rush, classic mode, Vita ports. I mean, it's fucking nuts.
Yeah. And in conclusion, I guess what I can say is that history teaches us that all empires, sooner or later, but all of them fall. That's kind of what I see happening with the AAA industry. I mean, obviously, I still have my reservations about Kickstarter and crowdfunding in general, because, I mean, look at Double Fine, they got $3 million, and yet look at what happened with Broken Age. Unfortunately, I see the same thing happening with the AAA industry, and if there are alternative ways like the Steam Greenlight service or all these Kickstarter campaigns where the creators, the creative people, go to the consumers and say, like, hey, we have this vision, would this be something that you would be interested in, and people say yes and they financially support it, then by all means, that's meritocracy. That's the way it should be, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. But anyways, I'm gonna go support Bloodstained because I'm a fan of the old Castlevania games. And it's still 5 days to go, and they already beat their goal by 7 times more than they asked for. And
Yeah,
it's still
I
going
know.
up.
Isn't that
It's still going
cool
up.
though? Like the same with ukulele. I think that it's so cool that like even though they're way past what they asked for, people are still giving money to it just because they love the idea. And I think that I don't know, it's beautiful to see that, you know.
I just hope that the mainstream publishers take note of this.
Yeah, I hope
They're
so
like,
too.
you know what? Koji Igarashi still has some good ideas for Castlevania. Maybe we should fund the next game and make it exclusive. I mean, when a company smells money, again, like the Deadpool trailer, they rarely ever say no.
Very true.
Oh no, I take that back. They usually say no, but unless there's a guaranteed thing like a Kickstarter, a successful Kickstarter campaign, then they'll say yes.
Yeah.
I think we covered that before.
I think so. One thing I wanted to ask, and this is going to be the last thing, but is there any buzz currently going on about that Ellison Road game? Are game journalists promoting it or anything?
It was on Bloody Disgusting and a couple other places, but still, it's got within a couple days, it's got 6,000 followers on Facebook, and
Nice.
it's met its green light thing in like 2 days.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
awesome.
if you just Google Allison Road, you should.
Or once again,
we'll
we can
link
leave
it.
a link in the description
No,
box.
I'm saying Google Allison Road because then you could see all the news outlets that are talking about it.
That's also
Oh, okay.
smart. But yeah, I think that it's a good idea to actually link the project too, because I think that if you're a fan of horror, this is something that you definitely might want to take a look at.
Yep, it might be good. Again, we don't know much about this particular project, the Allison Road one. We know a bunch about PT because we saw the demo, whereas this one's just a couple of concept videos. So proceed with caution, like any other investment, though.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely, if it's something you want to see made and you want to support, by all means, do it.
Yeah, at least take a look at it. Give it a chance.
Yeah, and they're not even asking for money. I don't think they just want to be greenlit. They just want to build up a fan base to accept it when it comes out. So.
Yeah. Well, they may not be asking for money, but I'd like a check for this public endorsement from Cheshire Kids.
Same here. We're horrors, but we're not cheap horrors.
That's true.